Ready. All right. Well, thank you guys. It's 2 o'clock. Thank you all for being here. This is Leveraging Market Stats to Boost Your Business series. We do this every single month. Thank you for everybody who's been following us. We should be live on LinkedIn now, on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube. So basically, what we do here is we go over the latest stats, the latest official stats, but more importantly, we talk about the state of the market and what we should expect in the coming months or in the future here. And we've been doing this for 5 years, and every month we have a different leader, and it's successful because of the different leaders. And we have another incredible leader. She is the 2024 Miami YPM president, Dania Diaz. Thank you, Dania, for being here. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Very excited to be here. Thank you. It's an honor. Like I tell everybody, market stats, this is the factual data that you can provide when people ask you specific questions. How's the market? So I'm excited to see what we got here to show our audience.
Definitely a lot of new graphics, updated graphics that we have here. So let's get into our agenda today. It should be about the next hours. If you could stick with us, we try to bring you some value here that will help you as a realtor. Here's a look at our agenda. We'll talk over some tools. Again, we do this every single month, and we already have the next one scheduled in June and also July. So please, if you could register and be with us next month, because we'll be here again. And so the number one question that we get here is this being recorded? The answer is yes. And I'm sure in the chat, you guys are going to want to see if you could get this PowerPoint, and the answer is yes. If you could just write your email in the chat, if you're on Zoom or if you're on LinkedIn or on social, put your email in the chat and I'll make sure to write it down, and I will email you this PowerPoint, and you should get it, if not today, by tomorrow. All right, the number one website, trying to make it easy to find these graphics, these new stats that are being released today. Today is news release day. National Association of Realtors, Florida Realtors releases stats, and Miami Realtors all on the same day. And so we put all of our new information. It'll be on sfmarketintel.com. We haven't exactly hit the button yet, but it will be there this afternoon. All of the updated, not just March 2024, but today we are releasing first quarter stats. And if you stick with us towards the end, we have first quarter 2024 stats on cities. What are the hottest cities? That'll be later on in the program. But first, Dania, let me go over. These are some quick hit graphics. We'll go over the three main counties, and then I'll ask you a question. So this is Miami-Dade. First quarter home sales are up 2%. 1 million and up home sales, this is for March, are up 5% year over year. We always prefer to do year over year in terms of month over month. Here is Broward County. Look at Broward County. All cash sales are up. 1 million and up is also up. You'll see that a trend throughout the counties here. And again, single family home dollar volume is up double digits in Palm Beach County. And the 1 million and up home sales are up. So Dania, when you look at, let me go over here to Miami-Dade. First quarter home sales are up, but when you look at March statistics, March home sales decreased year over year in March for Miami-Dade, because I would assume because of the rising mortgage rates. But what is your take on where the market is today and what we could be seeing as far as demand in the future?
So obviously there's a lot of different sectors of real estate to consider. You know, you have the entry level first-time home buyers, you have the luxury market, which is being defined as 2.5 million and up. Here, the interesting graphic is the across the board in all three counties, you can see an increase in 1 million in prices of 1 million and up. And I'll tell you, to find a single family home in all three of the counties, pretty much, I would say, 1 million would get you something with a nice size lot, something that's upgraded. It's very, very hard to find properties in the, let's say, like 500, 600, $700,000 mark. It really varies. Like whenever anybody asks me about any specific market, I really, really tune into the tools that you guys offer on the website, there's obviously like a general overview, but if you go into like RPR and Sunstats, you can really get hyper local. But you know, the markets have improved. In my opinion, they've gone up. If you look at the medium prices, I mean, we're going to get into all of this, but the medium price right now is 650,000 Miami-Dade. And I'm going to reference mostly Miami-Dade because that's where my market is. And then nationally, I was checking out some stats earlier, and it's 418,000 on a national scale. So Miami market is, I would say, its own state. I know it's a city, but Miami is definitely very unique. And then obviously South Florida as a whole, Broward and Jupiter, I would say are also, you know, along the lines of steady price appreciation. And I know our inventory levels are ticking up. I know our supply levels are kind of getting more towards a balanced market, but it really just depends on what we're talking about. So,
Yeah, no, excellent. Great stuff right there. And 100%, that's what separates Miami from other markets is our appreciation. There's a stat from CoreLogic. They tracked appreciation, and Miami finished number one for all of 2023, number one in the US for most appreciate housing market with the most appreciation.
yes. I know I was checking out the graphics in advance, so I don't really want to get ahead of myself, but there's a graphic that I have screenshotted on my phone, and when we get to it, I'll point it out. But you can see all of the different cities, and you know, there's declines and improvements, but we are just leading the way as far as price appreciation, which is huge. Because I remember just last year, everybody was saying, "Oh, the market's going to crash." And we've gone up what, like $100,000. I think we were at 550 last year, medium price, and now we're at 650. So um, a lot of faith in our markets here.
Yeah, a lot of faith. Yeah. And also it comes down to supply and demand where the inventory has been, we'll get into it, but inventory has been increasing, but not at specific key price points like you mentioned, 600,000 and below. We need more inventory there.
Correct.
But Dania, I want to talk to you about this continues to be a top hot talking point for in real estate is mortgage rates. It's interesting because uh, towards the end of last year, there was an expectation that inflation was slowing down and that the Fed would start employing rate cuts. But now it's kind of switched, and inflation has gotten a little bit hotter, and so now there's an expectation that they won't be doing Fed any cuts. And what you're seeing is the mortgage rates have really increased. You can see here. Are almost up to 7%, especially if you look at today's rate. But how are the continued rise or the elevated mortgage rates? How are they impacting buyers and sellers? How do you speak about this to your clients?
Well, I think that the number one thing is that we can't, obviously, we've seen we cannot predict the future. You know, there was talks of what 4 rate reductions that we were supposed to have this year. I follow the rates and the statistics on a monthly basis. I get you know, preferred lenders of mine, they send me kind of like where the rate is going on a weekly newsletter, which I love. And you know, from January till now, I think it was even lower. I think it was like at 6.8, now it's like at 7. Don't quote me. I'm not a mortgage broker. You should consult one. But it's not dropping the way they said it would, and as we see, the price appreciation is still going up. And what's interesting is if you look at this graphic, this is something that is great for you to use with your clients to show them, like, look, in 1980, people were paying 12% interest. You know, and then another thing too is as inflation rises and as the prices go up, and you know, you're expecting to get a better interest rate, so you wait a year and then the prices just went up 6%. Did you really save anything? No. And so I like to educate my clients on, listen, you should buy what you can afford based on the needs that you have. You shouldn't try to predict the future or try to time when it's right to be in any market, because the truth is, as we can see, we don't know what's going to happen. And we shouldn't allow that to stop us from building equity and having the American dream of home ownership. That's the number one thing that can provide wealth for your family in the future. So I encourage that, you know,
Yeah,
when
no, excellent points. And I remember Justine Jimenez Garcia, who was on the webinar, she talked about get in the house now. You could always upgrade in the future or refinance, but maybe
Oh,
not
it's
because
what is it? It's divorce the rent. It says date the rate, marry the house. It's something. But yeah,
yeah,
definitely. That's something that, you don't know what's going to happen. And I think you're going to get into the different types of mortgage programs that we have available to get creative with, with buying down rates. Yeah, just like that. The 2-1 mortgage buy down program, credits upfront from sellers. I mean, as we kind of go into a more balanced market, depending on what market we're talking about, um, I think that it's more favoring buyers to help them in these situations. But again, it depends. If you have something that's well priced in a very hot market, it's just very hard to negotiate these things. But you, as a buyer, have these resources available to you that can definitely help your buying power. So very
yeah,
resourceful.
definitely. Yeah, and great segue. I love how you got to the next slide. That's a perfect job. All right, so let's move on to our market fundamentals. What makes Miami, South Florida different from a New York, from LA, from Chicago? So these are some of the different graphics. Well, let's go through some of these, Dania, and I'll get your take on.
So
First, first of all, how about this one here? Population. I mean, these are the future clients, right, of South Florida real estate.
Well, as we saw with after COVID, Florida became kind of the most desirable state to live in my opinion. Miami has seen so much growth. They don't call it the Magic City for nothing. I like to study the history of Miami when Julia Tuttle told Henry Flagler, bring your railroad down here. And, over the last 125 years, let's say now, I mean, just look at what we've grown into. And we continue to bring incredible brands like the Baccarat and Bentley, and I mean these huge developers that are believing in us and investing in us, and it's our skylines, our array of options. Miami Realtors, gosh, I can't get enough of all the resources that you have to offer. But on our stats pages there, or if you Google, you can just Google or search in Miami Realtors is what I have done to find it. But you go to Miami in the rankings, and I actually took a bunch of screenshots because it kind of blew me away. We have the most billionaires, the most millionaires, the most centimillionaires, which, I mean, how much wealth is coming here? They're opening restaurants, they're creating, activities. There's really truly something for everyone, from every walk of life, from every interest. I mean, I'll keep going because it's just
Yeah,
this
go
is
for it.
very
Yeah.
interesting for me. So we're the number one highest luxury residential market price growth in the US, which is huge. We're the number one best city for foreign investment. So so Florida is the number one state for global international investment. This is a statistic that I take with me for all my investors because I love global real estate. I have people, that ask me, how does Miami compare to other markets? If I have a chance to go on a global congress or, be a part of a global committee, that's what I'm very passionate about. So, for me to be in the number one state and then for 47% of the business to happen here in Miami, that's incredible. We're the number one busiest US gateway for international passengers in the Miami International Airport. We're the number one best 15-minute city, which is crazy, amazing. So obviously they're talking about the city of Miami, but in the city of Miami, you can get on the Metro Mover, you can eat, you can have fun, you can walk, like it's incredible. And then this one, I think this one is new, or at least new to me. But we're the only city in the world with NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, MLS, and Formula One. Like, come
Yeah.
on, that's what I'm saying. I know that as I've become more, I guess, culturally aware, and I've been able to travel different places in the world. I still, being born and raised in Miami, I'm very proud of that. And, you may argue and say, well, because you don't really know how it is to live in other places, but who else can say they're the number one happiest city in the US, or the number one healthiest city in the US? I mean, it keeps on going. We're the number one American city with the prettiest people. I mean, that's kind of cool. Number one most supercar obsessed. Number one US capital of cool. I mean, it's all about Miami. So
Yeah. No, I love it. I love it. That's great. And what's interesting is that Miami's really a young city. You mentioned Julia
Yeah.
Tuttle, and you compare it to New York, and these other cities have been been around for so much longer that we have so much more potential for growth because we're just getting started, really.
Correct. Correct. And the other thing too that's huge for a lot of my let's say out of state buyers is the tax benefits. We don't have an additional state tax. And I think that that's huge. And, I don't really like to get too much into politics at all, but, during COVID, we were allowed, not only as real estate agents to be deemed essential, but we were allowed to continue to operate our businesses. And so, I feel that's kind of where like the huge surge of let's say like people coming in from all over the place. That was the reason why. But yeah, just I feel our market is very special, and I also feel that it is our duty as real estate agents to convey that narrative, so that people can can know that, just because you read something in the media doesn't mean that that is a true, accurate picture of what's actually going on here.
Right. Yeah. It's about controlling the narrative, telling Miami's story. One thing you mentioned how realtors were made essential in Florida. Got to shout out the Miami Realtors advocacy team because they were right
All
when the
right.
pandemic happened. They really pushed for that to make realtors essential. So thank you to the association. And then also you mentioned no taxes. How about this graphic here? A lot of these companies they move here for sure for the fact that there's no taxes, but the lifestyle, right? You talk about Citadel, which made the decision to move from Chicago to Miami. That a lot of it was, the CEO said that there's a lot of crime in Chicago. He wanted to move to Miami, less crime, better lifestyle. Um, yeah. So what do you think about all these companies that are moving here?
No, I just think that it's just as a testament to what Miami has become. I mean, if you look at too, like all the new businesses, and it's a thriving economy. And I think we have like one of the best financial districts. We have one of the top cruise capitals of the world. It's just so much to offer here. And the reason why we continue to grow and appreciate and stay, I would say, as stable as we can, because obviously the market isn't it is shifting for sure. Is because the land here is not like vast, like we can just go out. We are limited. We are stuck between, the Atlantic Ocean and the Everglades, and that's what we have to work with. And so demand, people want to be here, and as that happens, we just continue to grow. I mean, obviously there's a huge challenge with with the, let's say, like the working class being able to find affordable properties. But on another note, I say if there's so much investment going on here, and obviously as prices appreciate, just like let's even talk about commercial real estate, as those prices appreciate, the rent appreciates, then the menus appreciate, then the servers make more money, then hopefully we get paid more because we have to afford to live in the places that we work. So it definitely stimulates our economies. And I know that we're striving to make, more affordable housing available, but it's a challenge. It's become a place where, like, yes, it is more expensive, and yes, a lot of people are frustrated with that. But if you look at huge cities like California and New York, they've always been expensive, and so they have had to adapt to that, and figure out ways to, I guess, pay their employees more. Everything, it all kind of goes around in a circle. If I have to pay more to live, then I need to be paid more to work, then I need to pay more to go, have entertainment or food or things like that. And I just hope that, we can keep up with the cycles, pretty much.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, there should be a trickle down. And also, I'd like to say the in terms of affordability, they passed the Live Local Act, which hopefully will bring encourage more developers to do affordable housing, and we're starting to see that, but it's going to take time.
Yeah.
Here's another graphic that we put together in terms of what states are moving to Miami, and in all the data, Dania, it's the same three. It's New York, California, and New Jersey. This
Mhm.
is just based on driver license exchanges, but these are the top three. We also have this graphic for all of our other counties as well.
So, I mean, I'm gonna repeat something that a lot of leaders before me say. I think that a huge opportunity here. I mean, obviously, we're here. We want to learn about the stats, but we also want to figure out ways that we can generate more business using these stats. So, it might be a good idea if you're looking to gain new business to just kind of reach out and make connections to these states, and just kind of be their resource. And you have these stats at your fingertips. All you have to do is share it. You could create a weekly, monthly, whatever, however you want to slice it, newsletter, and just kind of build lists from agents in Texas, California, Georgia, New Jersey, all these 10 states. It would be a huge opportunity for anyone that doesn't know what to do, because there's always something that can be done when you're trying to build a real estate business. So this is
For
great information.
sure. Yeah, no, that's great advice. That's how realtors can leverage. Want to also talk to you about this graphic here on Miami luxury. A lot of debate on how do you define luxury real estate, and always in the past it was 1 million and above, but that's no longer the case. I mean, according to this research by our chief economist Gay Croratone, the answer is for luxury is 2 million for a condo, and then 2.7 million for single family. Let me also show you the ultra luxury. This is the top 1% of sales. This is how it can be defined as ultra luxury. So 6 million condo home is ultra luxury. 7.3 million single family home is ultra luxury. And Daniel, we're seeing a lot more of these ultra luxury purchases and luxury purchases, right?
Yeah, well, like I told you, look at all the migration coming in, look at the big businesses that are coming in. I mean, I think it's incredible. On the slide before, you saw, luxury used to be in the 1 million. Now we're in the 2.7 million. And, even in the peak of the pandemic, when everybody was just, I think in 2021, obviously we know it's a wild, wild west, real estate. Everybody was just putting a price on their property and people were paying it. And as we saw so many people come in, I mean, the faith, let's use the word again, in the Miami market is definitely strong. And even so, just in 4 years from 2019 to 2023, look at that. We've doubled the price for what luxury is. And I can personally tell you that, in $2.7 million used to be wow, beautiful estate in Pinecrest. Now that's like the ranch style, builder acre lot. Like
Wow.
it's incredible, how we've grown and how we've kind of stayed there. We have just so many people that want to be here, and I feel like that's just a confidence that we need to project to our customers so that they too can believe in our markets. That's I think that's incredible information.
Yeah, no, and I
Should
love that
be
example.
sharing. We should be screenshotting all of this. Well, we don't need to screenshot it because it's on the Miami dashboard, which
Right.
thank you very
And,
much.
and also, if you put your email in the chat, I'll email you this graphic, and I'm sorry, I'll email you this PowerPoint, and you'll have all these slides. So just write your email in the chat. I'll get it to you. Okay, so here's another graphic. This was actually our chairman of the board asked, "Hey, how many real estate transactions have their members done?" This is residential and commercial last 2 years. So this was 22 and 23. 68 billion. This is amazing. This, by the way, is on our Photify app, which we will tell you about later, but incredible number.
I want to see what would that be towards each person divided by 60,000 members. So that means that each member has an average of 1.1333, like 1,133,000.
Wow.
That's kind of incredible. And we know that, there's 60,000 members, but most of, there's a lot of people, not most people, but a lot of people that hold their real estate license just for personal properties. They don't even, really transact business. So that's just an incredible stat.
Amazing. All right. So let's have a little bit of fun here. In the past, we've done this trivia here in terms of, and I know Danya, you love global. And so here are some questions. What is the top foreign country purchasing in South Florida? If you could write that in the chat, we're going to see who gets the bragging rights, who wins today's competition. Number two is how many total countries purchase real estate in South Florida. And number three is what percentage of Florida global real estate sales are made in South Florida. These are all based, by the way, on our global survey that we do every single year. And you can see it right now, miamirealtors.com/global. So we'll get to those answers.
I'm
But if
not
you
going to
could,
give the answers.
yeah, we'll see who wins at the end. We'll see who wins at the end. All right, so median sale price. First, I believe, was this one of the graphics that you wanted to talk about in terms of price
No,
appreciation?
I'll definitely show you. It's like all the cities and the appreciation or lack of. And it's just crazy how Miami stands out as the number one for
Yeah, no,
appreciation.
that's amazing. All right, so let's get into some of these new stats that we're releasing today. Single family, Dania talked about at the beginning. Appreciation continues to be at double digit increases. So single family is up 14%, condos 11% year over year. Let me go through the other ones. Broward's at 7%. Palm Beach is at 11%, but a lot of this, Danya, has to do with supply and demand, right? If there's a low supply, it's going to put pressure
Correct.
on the price. Yeah.
Correct. So every month I receive an email that I don't know, I love it, even though it's numbers and that's not really my favorite thing in the world, but I love to know because people ask me all the time is, how's the market? And I love to reference to the simple Miami, Broward, and Jupiter monthly stats, and obviously I focus mostly on the Miami, and the absorption rate, the months of supply has been in the threes. For now, we're tipping into the fours. And I know that, let's say last year, a lot of realtors were very, very fearful of the market. And I even had a lot of clients ask me, is the market crashing? And I would tell them, no, properly priced properties are selling. And a lot of times the numbers that they're seeing as far as like price decreases are mostly because after the pandemic 2021, you could ask for whatever you wanted. You could be 50,000, 60,000, 100,000 over the market and people would pay you, not contingent on appraisal. They just wanted to find a property because the months of supply were like 1-2 months. So I mean, this is just a testament of so many people asking, well, is the market crashing? But no, look at those numbers, 14%, even condos, especially with everything that's happening with the condo market. I know the amount of supply right now is definitely increasing. And we are seeing some indicators of, I don't know if we're going to call it like future opportunities, because I like to focus on a positive angle of things. But with the insurance issues, and I'll give you a specific example. There's a unit that I showed in Doral on Sunday, and the agent called me before I went to go show it, and she said, you know what, this building used to be 5% Fannie Mae approved. But now the insurance policy, instead of having the 2% required deductible, they've increased it to 5%. So you're not going to be able to get a QM loan, you're gonna have to get like a special program. And so obviously call my lender because I want to know, what that means and how that will affect my buyer. And pretty much what he told me is, yes, there are programs out there. So it is very important to align yourself with a good, knowledgeable lender that has many offerings to give you and your clients. But he told me, no, don't worry, we can do a 10%. But obviously this buyer was lucky; they had like 50%, so it's not going to be an issue for them. But imagine, these condos are now switching the way that they're getting insurances. Now they have to be fully funded. Back in the 80s or 90s, I don't know who came up with this, but they decided that we can make a choice as a board of an association, and we could decide, do we want to collect reserves or do we want to just allow us to, the community to accept the minimum. And then as we have issues, we'll just kind of deal with those issues as they come. And the problem with that is then a whole board has to get together and decide. You have to get quotes. That's a timely process for meetings and all these things. And unfortunately, it creates tragedies, which I don't want to further discuss, but it's something where we definitely needed a change. I'm very happy about the change, but it's to catch up with what they haven't done thus far. That's where we're at. And so, I'm curious to see as we get closer to the end of 2024 into 2025 what happens. But we can already see, the supply rate going up. And sorry for going off into tangents, but um, just have a lot to talk about, I guess.
No, I thought that was great. I mean, I learned a lot. I think that point right there really shows you the value. Thank you for being here. I think really shows you the experience that you have, and yeah, that's super interesting on the condo market in the future. Yeah, so let's move on to historical. You guys will have this in the PowerPoint when you receive it, but we've been talking about this all along about how incredible appreciation, and we have this for Broward,
Go
we have it
back when
for
you're
Palm
done.
Beach. Yeah.
I want to say something about this graphic. Well,
Hmm.
obviously you guys have been your expansion into Broward and Jupiter, you hadn't been recording the information before 2008. But the Miami graphic that you showed, I've been using this graphic for the last 10 years. You've had
Wow.
this graphic for the last 10 years. And this is my most powerful graphic that I use. And I reference to this all the time because believe it or not, I am the young professional president, but I have been involved in real estate for 2 decades. So I was around when 2004 happened. And we'll get more into that later because there's something that I want to share specifically then. But take a look at this. You from the top, like when we were supposedly at our height in 2007, we're up 71 and 63%. I mean, this is only what, like 15, I'm not doing the exact math, but let's say 16 years, we've gone up 71%, even when we crashed and we had a recession. We had two recessions. And then the other number that just blows me away is remember in 2011 when this is when I just kind of started getting back interested in getting into real estate. And my mom was lucky enough, she bought her house in like 2010. So she got an incredible deal. Right now, she's
Perfect timing. Yeah.
400%. I'm not even kidding. But look at that, 276% how we have increased. I mean, this graphic is when someone asks me, oh, but what if the market crashes? Well, listen, even if the market crashes, I can show you historical facts that we will get back and exceed where we were. So have faith and don't buy something, obviously if you're buying something for a 2-year hold, then you obviously have to consider, what's going to happen in 2 years. But if you're looking to hold something for 30 years, like most normal people with 30-year mortgages do, you're gonna appreciate in equity. So it's an incredible investment to invest in real property, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
no, thank you for saying that. And that really brings to mind that how, as association, we're going to be sharing this graphic a little bit more than we have. So thank you for that, Dania. All right, so hey, we're going to get into the exact numbers, but historical average as of 2023, Dania, we're still not there, and that's why you're seeing that push on the price, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, look at this. We in 2019, so let's say right before COVID, I remember you would see a property and you would do a comparable market analysis, and if they were asking like $20,000 more, you just didn't offer on that property. And a lot of times it was because they bought the property in 2016 and they hadn't yet gotten there because we just had a steady stream of supply. And as we have a steady stream of listings available, then we don't have, the imbalances that we have had as of yet. And so, we are a little more cautious with let's say like overbidding on properties or getting into multiple offer situations that wasn't really common. But now look at 2023. I mean, even as you see the sales numbers decreasing, there's still not enough supply. And so supply and demand, basic economics. And this graph does a great job of showing like, we still have an incredible market. We have a lot of opportunity. It's good for sellers too to see this graphic because they know that they're going to have a good place in the market being on that low end of inventory.
For sure. All right, and this was one that you talked about at the beginning.
No,
How?
Not yet.
Yeah, yeah, not yet. Well, about how Miami compares to other global cities and how that's why the wealthy is moving here because you get such a value in comparison to New York and
Oh yeah.
LA, London.
Yeah, no, this graphic is great too because, yes, we've had look, our market is so great and we are still super affordable when it comes to, the wait, this is yeah, that we can get more bang for our buck. Okay, I was just making sure I was in the right graphic. But we can definitely, it's like go to these big cities like Paris, Los Angeles, New York, and you're still not gonna get what you're gonna get here in Miami, and we still have better appreciation numbers. So you use the two graphics hand in hand, and definitely will help you with your investors.
Definitely. All right, you mentioned the word crash a couple minutes ago, and a lot, here are some examples about a lot of people say, is this like you mentioned, is this another 2008? And you had mentioned earlier, but there's so many reasons why it's not, right?
So yeah, like I said, I've been around for both of these markets. When I was in the 2005 market, I was an assistant, just new licensee, very young. And I remember in my office, I obviously saw a lot of things that probably shouldn't have happened. Back in 2005, there wasn't access to data like there is now, and things were on paper, sent by a fax machine. Now things are automated, they are online, and you can't, like before in 2005 you could apply for like two mortgages at the same time. I never obviously personally got involved. Obviously you hear stories, and I don't really know, but another thing too is like the appraisals, they were making the appraisals higher to make the loans go through. Once an appraisal goes higher, then the neighborhood goes higher. So they had to have stricter regulations with appraisals, stricter regulations with banks, and the no income, no asset loans. Like I remember one of my first sales to one of my first buyers was a Nina loan, we used to call them. No income, no asset, 100% financing. Roll in your closing costs into your payment. There's
Wow,
absolutely no skin in that game. Like that was crazy. Like,
amazing.
and now that does not happen. Like if you cannot qualify and your debt to income ratio isn't within, their standards, like you are not getting a loan. And you can't fake paperwork because all of your data is online. Like everything is public record now. So we are in a much healthier lending market than back then. So no, it's just right now, people are willing to pay what they're willing to pay, and prices are appreciating for the natural dynamic of that. Value is what buyers are willing to pay in any given market. And given that we have strict lending requirements, there's no funny business going on. So it's just a true growth of value. Definitely not the same. They don't even compare.
Yes. And here are some more reasons why it's definitely not the same. I mean, foreclosures, mortgage originations by credit score. I mean, you could take a look at all these different data. But let's move on to why buy a home now? These are some of the points I put together. If there's a recession on the way, you could always refinance. But any of these reasons that you'd like to talk about or add to
Well,
these?
I mean, it's all about equity, and it's not about if I'm gonna appreciate value in 2, 3 years. It's about in 30 years, I'm gonna pay off one of the largest investments I'm ever gonna make in my life, and I'm gonna have that huge nest egg. And as we've seen, based on the facts, because I love referring back to the facts, is the value will always go up, because it's not going down. It's, in my opinion, hopefully, I can't predict the future. But all these points are great. And I think that you offer such a great service of providing this to our members, because these are all things that you can, put in a newsletter or put in a social media post, or, just kind of recite and memorize for your clients to help you out. I mean, this is just great information.
Excellent. Thank you, Dania. Let's move over to closed sales. You mentioned they are down year over year when you look at March. This is across the board. It's interesting how our three counties somewhat mirror each other. Go over the March numbers, and they are down year over year. across the board. One reason for this is I want to ask you, well, two reasons. Could it also be the inventory is not there at certain key price points? And number two is the recent rise in mortgage rates. Could that have played a role?
Yeah, I think people are being a little more cautious too now, and they're not just buying anything. It's a lot more expensive. And as this, this is a perfect picture of that. It's before it was, I need to buy a home right now because the interest rate is 3%. Now I need to buy the home that I like because the interest rate is 6%. And yeah, inventory too has a lot to to play on this as well.
Sure. Okay. All right, so let's talk about some tools that you guys could use to help your business. Are you guys doing market watch on Matrix? This was a great tip from our leader Natasha Tello. What is happening in the market the last 7 days, and you could get really micro into your niche, right, Dania?
No, absolutely. I mean, again, this is all resources that we have at our fingertips. I think something that I'm going to touch upon is that coming soon, specifically in the Cutler Bay market, I have a buyer right now. And this coming soon it was huge. Like there's two properties in there that she saw on I think realtor.com. I didn't even have the search set up for coming soon, which I changed it to include it. But when that open house came around for that house, there was like a line out the door. I'm like, what market am I in? It was incredible. But no, these tools are great because you can just kind of see if you just wanted information and you just want to know and you want to see what's coming on, what's coming off. And if you track this on a weekly basis, it's huge for your business.
Yeah.
And there's so much resources, it's like pick and choose which one is gonna be helpful to you. Personally, I like to look at the coming soons. I've noticed that there was one time that they hardly had any. I think there was like 4 or 5. I feel that there's an uptick in that. So I think there's huge opportunity for the coming soon portion of it. But again, there's just a lot. So it's just pick which one you want. Another tool on here that's great is you have the expireds and you have the cancels. And so if you're someone who likes to do cold calling, this would be a great place for you to be able to access the listings in one spot and get your calling on.
Yeah, great tips. Great tips. I love that example on Cutler Bay. Interesting you mentioned Cutler Bay because that is going to be in one of our graphics for the hot markets. Cutler Bay and also Palmetto Bay have very low months of supply. We're going to
Mhm.
get to that. But here's some more ways that our members could use. Are you using SunStats?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I
Um,
use
are, yeah,
stats. Um, this is great because you can actually customize it. So when you
yeah.
create the infographic, you can, there you go. So you can kind of put which metrics you want to use. I like putting days on the market. I like putting medium price, close sales. I like to put list to price, close sale ratio. I like that one. But you can customize that however you're going to use the information, and it's great. I think you can do zip code, you can do like cities. And this is also good if you're trying to figure out if you have a buyer that's going into like a different market, you can, in Florida, you can use it as well. And then on your next slide, the NAR, the market watch, I mean, that's incredible information. I took the at home with diversity certification with Neil Oates. I'm going to give a special shout out to him. I thought his class was phenomenal. And he really taught me a way to go into the market reports and to put in the zip codes, and I could really, really target in on what the buyer profiles are for those markets. And I mean, it's just the information overload. It's really powerful if you learn how to use it in your business. And a lot of these stats I print out and I bring them with me to my listing appointments. I like to have a lot of information, and then obviously you tailor the presentation on what they're interested in, because if this person doesn't care about numbers, doesn't matter.
Mm,
Maybe a quick infographic from Sunstats with something simple. Don't really get
yeah.
into like you know
Oh, that's great. I love to hear that. I love to hear that. And you mentioned the zip code reports. Those will be on sfmarketintel.com. We'll have every single zip code in South Florida, every single city. You could access that on sfmarketintel.com. We have all those reports coming up. Let's talk about pending sales, best indicator of future closed sales. Similar trend lines. They are down year over year. Let's go through Miami-Dade. Broward, and Palm Beach, pending sales. Let's move over to dollar volume, sum of all sale prices in a given time period. This, Dania, always incredible statistics right here. This is just for 1 month. You're talking about $2 billion spent in Miami-Dade, 1.4 billion in Broward, about 2 billion in Palm Beach. And by the way, these don't even include new construction. You know, if you add new construction into these numbers, they're even higher.
You know, this is probably something that the National Association offers on a on a statewide scale, I would have to say, right? I would be interested to know how we compare. I know
Yeah.
I'm throwing you a loophole. We probably don't have the answers, but we can find all the answers on our NAR and Florida Realtors websites. They also offer incredible stats, and all of this put together just really sets you apart as market expert. And you don't really have to go out and research anything yourself. It's all there for us. So we appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and that's interesting you mentioned NAR. They do have a statistic, I'm thinking about it now, about how the economic impact of one home sale, they estimate in Florida, I have it in the news release that it's $122,000 just from one home sale. So
Wow.
you multiply that by how, we had 2,000 home sales, so amazing amount of because a home sale impacts so many different industries, right? It's amazing.
Yeah, it's the schools, it's the local businesses, it's the service providers. I mean, it's a huge, yeah, definitely. You know, it's the realtors, it's the title companies, it's the lenders, it's the gardeners, it's the, cleaning ladies, it's the local gas stations. I mean, yeah, definitely. I can see that.
Yeah. Amazing. All right. So months of supply, we talked about that. One thing I wanted to point out here is that the association, we've always considered 6 to 9 months as a balanced market, good for buyers, good for sellers. So less than 6 months is a seller's market and more than 9 is a buyer's market. And Danya mentioned how we are transitioning, especially on the condo side. Condo right now is in a balanced market. Um,
Right.
and then here's a way how to calculate it. You guys will have this again, write your email in the chat. I will email you this PowerPoint so you could have this. But Danya, here's a look at months of supply for Miami-Dade. It's about 6.5 months. Single families at 4.3. And condos, well, you said 8.2 months of supply. Interesting trend that we're seeing on the condo side.
And I like to take this a step deeper. I know that on the last slide, you guys compute your absorption rate based on a 12-month. But I like to do it based on the last 30 days. So I'll take a look. And I also look at like 30, 60, 90, 120 up to 180. And then obviously I refer back to the Miami-Dade overall stats. But I like to do this, like especially like in different, like let's say buildings or subdivisions that are very cookie cutter, because I like to show a true picture of what's going on. So you would go on the MLS, you would put closed sales last 30 days. What is the number of closed sales? And then you would get how many active sales are available. I even like to take it a step further and go deeper into like how many bedrooms. So the 3-bedroom supply is X, the 2-bedroom supply is Y. And then that way it'll help you with like your pricing and also like with your offers on the buyer side. All this information is super helpful on strategizing how to position yourself for success in the markets. Um, but you guys do such a great job too with just kind of making it easy on an overall scale, and then we can dive deeper as we please. But
Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's super interesting. Yeah, it's a great ideas too. Do it for 30, yeah, 60 or 90. Excellent. Okay.
Yeah, because then you can see like let's say a building is something has happened, you see it because okay, let's say 3 months ago you had an absorption rate of like let's say 3 months, and now all of a sudden you're at 10 months. What happened? So I usually like to like hypothesize, okay, maybe there was an assessment on this building, and most of the times I'm right, oh, they just, or the lawsuit came through or something, and then I'm able to kind of share that advice with the client, and they're just like, wow, it provides more value to them because these stats, and for the most part, are forward facing for our consumers, and they can get it, but it's up to us to kind of explain to them how it affects them, and you know kind of share our experience and knowledge with them to help guide them.
Yeah, wow. I love it. Okay. Excellent. So let's take a look at 1 million and above. We know it's no longer luxury anymore here in Miami. But this 12.2 months, I know some people might look at it and say, wow, but for 1 million and above, and when you're talking about luxury, that months of supply, it's still in the normal range, right? Because
Correct.
it takes a
Yeah.
while for these properties to sell.
Yeah, see, the thing with the luxury market that I have found is that sometimes value is not always black and white. So it's not like, a specific neighborhood that has a cookie cutter models and every single house, has value and it moves. This is like when we talk about, luxury, we talk about all different types of architecture and styles and locations and it's not as easy. That's why I've taken classes like in the institute from specifically from the Institute for Luxury Home Marketing, and the 12 months is about right, and that's why a lot of these agents take 2-year listings because it's very expensive to market the luxury market, and you want to make sure that you're not marketing and with 6 months you don't have enough time. So this just this is okay. This is not bad. It's definitely different market.
Interesting. So they take a 2-year listing.
That would be ideal. Not you won't always get it. Just saying, like that was just something that they taught us that it is definitely a bigger, a longer market. But again, it's all about like how do you create value? How do you make that property valuable? What is unique about it? How do you tell the story? How do you showcase the lifestyle? And that's how you sell a luxury property. It's not like as easy as you put it on the market and it moves. You really have to kind of figure out an angle, and sometimes it takes time. It's a special buyer. It's a larger investment. The pool of buyers is smaller, so supply and demand. The demand isn't as high in those markets.
Wow, that's interesting. I can't speak for everybody else on the call, but I'm learning a lot from you. So thank you, Dania, for all these tips. All right, so let's take a look at price ranges in terms of months of supply, and you can see how it differs. It's just because the entire Miami-Dade condo market is in a balanced market, it's different if you look at different prices and in neighborhoods. Like same thing that you've been talking about this whole time.
See, this is like exactly into words what I'm saying. Look at the single family market under 600K. That property is selling in 5 seconds with like 10 buyers right now. There's such a high demand. And then obviously when it's over 1 million, like I was saying, it's not like those same 5 buyers. You might be lucky if you have one. Um, and then, as far as like the condos, anything like, well, there's nothing under 50,000, but we are seeing a huge uptick, in the months of supply with condos. But like I said, it's just because the financial situation across the board is challenging. And the problem too is like I was saying, as the associations have to kind of restructure themselves and they have to account for all the structural repairs that are going to be necessary for to pass their 40 years, and now I think they're even doing it even sooner, every 10 years or so. It's become more expensive, so a lot of people that had set incomes and set budgets, they can't, they don't know what to do, and so they're trying to get out, and then everybody kind of puts their property on the market at the same time, and what does that do? That's that's something that we're watching happen. And I can't predict the future. And I hope that we can come up with something, maybe, special programs to help, homeowners who are being affected. Because when you talk about recalibrating budgets and association amounts going up, you got to catch up. And then you got to, account for the future of what is the right number. But until you get to that future of the right number, you got to catch up for the past years, kind of like the damage that's already been done. It's I don't know. I don't know. I hope that we come up with some sort of solution, and I'd love to be a part of
Yeah,
conceptualizing that idea.
it's an interesting topic that, a lot of people don't have the answers now, and it's going to take some time to sort it out. Yeah. All right, so let's move over to hot markets. So this is where Cutler Bay comes in. I remember Cutler Bay is the third hottest market in single family for Miami-Dade. at 2.8 months. Palmetto Bay is there as well. Miami Gardens is the number one city, the hottest market, and then condos is Kendall Lakes. Um, you mentioned Cutler Bay, but any other markets here that you're seeing that are really getting
So
hot?
I know I work in all these markets specifically. So, I mean, obviously, Miami Gardens is because it's probably one of the most affordable, that Miami Gardens in Princeton. And I think Homestead has dropped off here, but Homestead, in my opinion, is also high. I think it's getting a little bit more, and it's going higher in values. But as far as like entry level single family homes that don't have associations, that's very desirable for a lot of buyers specifically, and that's why Miami Gardens is number one. Palmetto Bay and Cutler Bay, this is like where you can get kind of like an estate style home, but still be in the affordable, not super luxury range. Pinecrest has become super luxury at this point. And then when you talk about condos, all the people that live, like, let's say on the south side of Florida, in the Kendall Lakes, Kendall area, this is like where they can afford now. This is where, let's say, the townhouses are in the 500s, and this is where most people need to, this is the starter of the first time home buyer market. And then Fontainebleau has just been an incredible area for investment. I have quite a few properties that I manage in that location specifically because the rental turnaround there is great. Same thing with Hialeah. And then Doral, it's also kind of like a midpoint to the airport, north, south. And so, we've definitely seen a lot of demand there as well.
Phenomenal job. You broke down every single city. Really shows your experience. Great job right there. Wow. All right, let's take a look at Broward Sunrise. Checks in at the hottest market in single family, plantation, number one for condos. You work in Broward as well?
So I've worked in Weston, Pembroke Pines, Sunrise, Davie, Coconut Creek, Pembroke
You're all
Pines.
over the place.
Yeah. The thing about Broward is, it used to be like the more affordable, like you had to go up to get, like, you had to get more bang for your buck going up, but now it's just pretty much in line with Miami. The one market where I kind of draw the line where I will refer out would be like Jupiter, Port St. Lucie and all that, because that's a little too far. So I have
Yeah.
friends over there that I will definitely call on. I see Lori laughing. Yes, girl. But yeah, no, Broward has become a very hot market too. Look at that, 2 month. Look how many markets are in under 3 months supply. It's great. I think it's a better place than Miami right now. Way more action going on. So the realtors in Broward are really having a good time right now with their listing agents, and probably a little more challenging on the buyer side. So you have to align yourself with an experienced agent who knows how to help you position yourself for the win.
Awesome. All right, so let's move to Palm Beach. These are quarter one. We just put together these graphics. The acreage is number one is for single family, Palm Beach Gardens for condominiums. You mentioned how it used to be, how Broward you'd find a little bit more affordable. What was the storyline on Palm Beach?
I've always seen Palm Beach as like a very affluent county. I don't know, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But like I just went to an event in West Palm Beach recently, and we went on the Bright Line and we met up with YPNs across Florida. I went with Kevin, and I noticed a lot of trendy restaurants. He said that he used to live there, and there was a lot of new buildings over there, and I found it like I just the people there were just very posh and very affluent. So I don't know. That this is where I like I said, I draw the line, and I definitely would refer to my Palm Beach experts. As a matter of fact, we should get a Palm Beach expert on here, or Jupiter, you know, Palm Beach County, someone to speak on that. I would be interested to tune in and hear about it.
For sure, yeah, it's a great idea. I know Palm Beach has now become known as the Wall Street South. I know you could also say that about Brickell, but there's a lot of companies that moved to Palm Beach. Here's a look at Martin, the hottest cities. The one I would like to mention is Stewart, which is the sailfish capital of the world. You mentioned Brightline, and they recently announced that Brightline's going to have a stop at Stewart. So that's major news there for Martin County.
Huh.
Having Brightline, you could go from Miami to Stewart in the future. Really amazing how that Brightline is really bringing a lot of real estate development, right?
Yeah, I think it's so cool. Like to get on there, like, okay, for example, in Miami, it's right there in Brickell. And then when you get to like Palm Beach or like in the heart of the action, and then it takes you all the way to Orlando. Now we're gonna stop, and we're just gonna keep going. I hope we go all the way up. I hope that's the goal because I mean it's just it's kind of cool. You can get on a train and you can work and go. Very I like the Bright Line.
Yeah, it is a little bit on the expensive side, right? But I mean, the fact that you don't have to be in a car, that
You
sounds a
pay
lot
for convenience.
convenience, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me just add. So Kevin and I went on a journey. We were supposed to go on the Bright Line going up, but we the tickets sold out. So we took the Tri-Rail. We were like, wow, it was $8 for the Tri-Rail. And it was like $60 for the Bright Line. I mean, the Tri-Rail wasn't bad, but the Bright Line is definitely, a little bit more, let's say, more comfortable seats. You every seat has like a table. They go and they sell you snacks and drinks. Like that's, I guess, what you're paying for. And then like the safety of like most of the locations of where they're located and convenience.
Yeah, and everything is new. Like I haven't been on the Bright Line yet, but I'm looking forward to, maybe going to Disney World with the kids, right? And then I guess when you get to Orlando, you have to get an Uber, but I think that would be a better experience than in the car.
Absolutely. Then you guys can all kind of hang out together. You can talk. It becomes more of an experience and you don't have to stop, you just go.
Awesome. All right, active inventory. We're over the hour. Are you okay with time or you need
Yep,
some?
I'm okay. Are you
You're
guys
okay?
okay? All right.
Yeah, so we'll keep going. Active inventory. All right, so we had mentioned this multiple times. I mean, here it is with the plain numbers, the facts, right? Miami-Dade is increasing 30%. Broward is up. Um, but what's also when you look at new listings, I don't have new listings here, but Miami-Dade new listings are up for 7 consecutive months. So definitely a trend line. But Dania, it's yes, inventory is increasing, but where? Like not 600 and below. We're not seeing that, right?
We also have the supply, the how is the inventory going up, but the absorption rates aren't really changing drastically. So to me, that just shows, yes, okay, there's more options, but we're still not quite on the buyer's market side. We're still not quite there yet with comparison of inventory available from years past. And that number looks huge in Broward, 69%, but look at the markets that were under like 2, 3 months supply of inventories. So I think it's a huge value add to tell your buyers, hey, there's a lot more inventory for you to choose from. The market's still healthy. But that number is kind of crazy. That's 69% inventory growth from last year to this year.
Year over year, yeah. And that could be when you look at it's comparing to March to 2023. And so I believe that was a just a down new listings were really down a year ago. So it's just a comparison to that month. Yeah.
But
We'll see if it
we
continues.
still
Yeah.
see sales, and we still see, supply rates aren't, absorption rates aren't bad. So this is great. This is just opening up more opportunities for everyone.
Right. All right. Okay, and so let's go over some main points. I have this in the news release that we're sending out. Miami active listings are down versus historical average. Our chief economist expects rates to be around 6%, so that will open up more demand. She also expects more sales by the end of the year. All right, global study. Let's see if we'll answer them correctly. The first question is, what is the top foreign country purchasing in South Florida? Let me see the chat. We'll see who gets it right. It's Colombia. All right, so let's see. A lot of people, I'm looking at it. Might have been Adelina. Might have been the first one, but oh, Catherine also, of course, Catherine Arteta. Colombia, yes. Thank you guys for all the answers. Yes, Colombia is number one. And Argentina, by the way, is right there at 14%. So let's go to the next question. How many total countries purchase real estate in South Florida? 52, Dania. Can you believe that? 52.
It's incredible. Again, make connections with these countries, especially if you're from the country. It's huge, huge opportunities. Show them
Yes,
what's happening, show them the information, share.
yes. And then the next slide here is, I'm sorry, here's the 52 countries. And then what percentage of Florida global real estate sales are made in South Florida? Our CEO loves this statistic. 47%, half of
Wow.
international purchases are made in South Florida. And Danya, what's really interesting is check out the difference between number one and number two. Amazing the difference there.
Huge. No, that's what I tell all my investors, why should I invest in Miami versus, anywhere else in Florida for that matter? And it's like, this is why 50%, well, no, not 50, just under half, pretty much half
Yeah, you
of
round it
the
up.
sales. Yeah, right. We can round up. This is just huge information. Florida, number one state, Miami, number one city. It's, South Florida is incredible.
All right. And so let's try to sum it up here. Tools and resources. We've been through all this. Please use SunStats, free Miami service. We have co-branding material on the Miami Realtors websites, miamirealtors.com/co-brand. The top rankings that Danya mentioned. Thank you, Danya. We also have our Photify app. This is free templates for our Miami members. You just have to register and then download the app. And these are some examples of our members using our free templates that you could put out on social. We have our market reports that we're posting today on sfmarketintel.com. We have our infographics, videos, reports, more. You'll be seeing these on social. You're also going to send the market focus report. We have our zip code. We mentioned these hot markets. We have so much more data. RPR, we mentioned Miami trainers. If you have a question on Photify, a question on SunStats, these are the people they do incredible classes for our members. And lastly, Danya, this is a cross-market demand. I want to ask you, they don't have the first quarter yet, but this is a cross-market demand is which counties are looking at our listings? And no surprise, right? New York, LA, San Francisco. You mentioned earlier how realtors could leverage it, but there's so many ways that you could use this information.
Yeah, and let's take it a step further. Yes, you can make calls and reach out to agents in these cities and counties. But how about figuring out when they have a local conference and showing up and being the only person from Miami, and say, hey, I want to be your Miami contact. I want to show you what's going on here in Miami and just create real connections. There's just so much you can do. I love getting involved with global business and national business and connecting with other agents. And if for anything too, it's also to learn about their areas so that, again, when your investors or buyers ask you, you know what's going on, you know how you compare. Knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power, definitely. Love it. We have this here for Broward, Palm Beach. Look at all the New York counties looking at Palm Beach listings. All right. And so here's my information and our social. But I will be sending this PowerPoint to everybody who put your email in the chat. I will get you the PowerPoint. And Danya, phenomenal job. Thank you for being here. I think I definitely learned a lot, and I'm sure you helped a lot of members on the call and also who are listening on social. But thank you. Anything else? Any thing you want to leave us with?
Just want to say, use the resources you have available. There's just pick your avenues and leverage the tools that you already have. I'm so proud to be part of Miami Realtors in a leadership position, and it's an honor to share my insights with you, Chris. And had no idea what I was going to share today, but hey, it all comes out organically, and I think it has a lot to do with because I look at these stats almost on a month, like on, I want to say a weekly basis. I'm looking at stats. So I super appreciate everything that you guys do for us. and hope that you guys leverage these tools to your best potential. And
Yeah.
thank you for having me.
Awesome. And thank you for being a Miami leader. You're one of our best leaders. So thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody on the call. We will be back again next month. So thank you and have a great, Dania, have a great rest of the week.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, guys.